Okay, we're moving on into place value. Okay, but it's place value of decimals. So if you look, I've made a place value table for you. Okay, here's your decimal, and the decimal says and. So when we read a number, when we see the decimal, we say and. Okay, but to the left of the decimal is your whole numbers. So it always starts with ones, tens, and hundreds. And this first group is just units. So it's 100, 10, 1. Okay, it's just place value. And then you have 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion, 10 billion, 100 billion. Okay, but to the right of the decimal, the first place to the right of the decimal is tenths. Okay, it's TENTHS. THS distinguishes the fact that it is a decimal. The next place is the hundredths place. Okay, so it's 100 with the THS at the end, also distinguishing the fact that it is a decimal. And the last place, which is the new one for y'all, because you learned tenths and hundredths in 4th grade, but in 5th grade, the third place behind the decimal is the thousandths place. Again, THS. So we have in our units ones, tens, and hundreds, but when you go behind the decimal, there is no ones place. The decimal takes that spot. You have tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. Okay? So tenths is 1 snap, hundredths, 2 snaps, thousandths is 3 snaps. And it's kind of how we have to think about it. So when you see the decimals and your numbers after a decimal, you snap. Okay? So when we have the number 4.376, that's 4 and 376, 376, 3 snaps, thousandths. Okay? All right. So let's look at the vocabulary. Standard form is in numbers. So this example right here is in standard form. Written form is when I take that number and I write it in words. Okay? And when we do written form, oh my gosh, it says Ford. It's form. Sorry. So when we do written form, it's numbers written in words. You write it exactly like you read it. Okay? So that's why we have to learn how to read these numbers. And then expanded notation is the number represented as the sum of each digit in a number multiplied by its place value. Okay, so let's look at a couple examples. So if I have the number, let's do an easy one, 5 and 26 hundredths. Okay, 5 and 26 hundredths. So this is standard form. And written form, we're going to write it just like we said it. 5, the decimal says and. That number 26 is 26, so we're going to write 26. And then the 6 is in the hundredths place, so we're going to write hundredths. 100 THS. So written form, 5 and 26 hundredths. Now, if I want to put it in expanded notation, the 5 is in the ones place, so it's 5 times 1 plus 2 times 1/10 plus 6 times 1/100th. Okay? So 5 times 1, because it's in the ones place, 2 times 0.1, which is in the tenths place, and then 6 times 0.01, because it's in the hundredths place. So that's expanded notation. Okay, so standard form is numbers, written form is how you write it in words, and then expanded notation is how you break it up, where you're adding, okay, the definition said the number represented as the sum of each digit. Okay, so sum is where we add. Sum of each digit and a number multiplied by its place value. So that's what we did. We multiplied each of these numbers by their place value. 2 times the ones place, 5 times the ones place, 2 times the tenths place, and 6 times the hundredths place. So let's do this one. This is standard form. Okay, I want you to put it in written form. Okay, now put it in expanded notation or expanded form. Okay, so what you should have done for written form, you would have said 5/4 is 54. So you write it 54, and that's a whole number. Okay, the decimal says and then 2/3 is 23. And then the 3 ends in the hundredths place, so it's 54 and 23 hundredths. Okay, that's written form. Expanded notation, you should have said 5 times 10, because the 5 is in the tens place, plus 4 times 1, because 4 is in the ones place, plus 2 times 1/10, tenths place, plus 3 times 0.01, because it ends the hundredths place. So that is written form, expanded notation. And then, of course, this is our standard. Standard form is where you just take it and write it in numbers. So if I give it to you in written form, you're putting it, and I ask for standard form, you're putting it in numbers. Okay, so I gave you the number 704 and 26 thousandths. Okay, so I want to put it in standard form. So I know that 704 is 3 whole numbers. So I'm going to put 3 spots for my whole number. I know that this and is a decimal. And then it says 26 thousandths. So thousandths is 1, 2, 3 snaps. So I need 3 decimal places. So now I just have to fill in the blanks. 704. Okay, 704, that's 7 in the hundredths place. That 4 is in the ones place, which means 0 here. That says 704 because the 0 is in the tens place. And then it says 26 thousandths. Okay, whatever your last digit, wherever it falls, that's the name that it's given. So the last digit, 26 thousandths, that means there's a 6 in the thousandths place. So now you have to decide, is it going to be 0.26 or 206? Okay, this one says 26 thousandths. This one says 206 thousandths, meaning that would be wrong. Okay, 26 thousandths, which means nothing is in this tens place. Okay, so you have to give that space. So let's look at another one. Okay, so now I have 15 and 135 thousandths. Okay, 15, I know that 15 is 2 digits, 1 and a 5, right? I know that this and is a decimal. And then it says 135. So I know 135 is going to go down here. It's a thousandths. So I know that the 5 is in the thousandths place. So I can figure that out quick. 15 is a whole number. So 15 is going to go before 110 and 5 ones. And 135. So 135. 15 and 135 thousandths, because the 5 ends in the thousandths place. If I asked you to put in an expanded notation, it would be 1 times 10 plus 5 times 1 plus 1 times 0.1 plus 3 times 0.01, because this would be a 0 and this would be 1, plus 5 times 0.001. Okay, and the reason, if you're paying attention to it, look at it. The tenths is the first decimal, the hundredths is the second decimal, and the thousandths is the third decimal. Okay, so I want you to try this one. Okay, 42 and 324 thousandths. Okay, 42 and 324 thousandths. I want you to put it in standard form. 42 and 324 thousandths. Put that in standard form. Okay, now I want you to put it in expanded notation. 42 and 324 thousandths in expanded notation. Okay, so 42, and we know and then we'll go to the thousandths place. So 42 is 42 whole numbers. Okay, anything before the and is a whole number. And 324 thousandths, so that means the 4 is in the thousandths place. 324 looks like that, 324. So 42 and 324 thousandths. That's standard form. Expanded would be 4 times 10 plus 2 times 1 plus 3 times the tenths place plus 2 times the hundredths place plus 4 times the thousandths place. Okay? So that is place value, standard form, expanded notation, and written form.